Hi, I'm Kathy,
And I'm Tom,
and we're here to share ideas about how each of us can live smart.
365.
So, in case you haven't noticed, our backdrop is a little bit different today. That's because we're up in the mountains in a little town called Idlewild. And it's something that we've done for over 20 years. Every summer we come up here to escape the heat in our desert valley. And one of the reasons we can do that, I believe, is because we right-sized. In fact, that's the topic of today's vlog. It occurred to us while we were out taking a hike that right-sizing is more important today than ever before with everything that's going on in the world. And we just wanted to share a couple of reasons why we believe right-sizing is so important regardless of your age. You don't have to be retired to right-size. In fact, it's probably way better for you if you start right-sizing, the sooner the better. I wish I'd known about it. We didn't start until our 50s, and I wish I'd known about it far earlier. So in case you're wondering, what's right-sizing to you, Tom?
Well, right sizing is designing a life that gives you freedom. And the freedom leads to me, peace of mind. So it's a broad topic in a way, but we've sort of narrowed it down a little bit for this talk to talk about just a few things of right sizing.
Well, and I think so many people think right-sizing is kind of like similar to downsizing. They think of it as like, okay, you just cut back away your life until you whittle it down. And quite the contrary. To me, right-sizing is moving toward what you want and letting go of the things that aren't really that necessary. So instead of downsizing, which I consider to be sacrificing, I feel that right-sizing is beneficial in all ways. So that's why I'm such a cheerleader for it. I really believe right-sizing can help us all. The thing is, there's no one definition of it. I can tell you what I do to right-size, but every person is different because what everybody consciously wants and needs is so very different.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the younger generation is they're on the minimalist bent, and that's good, especially if you're living in your mom and dad's basement, and that's
maybe that's right-sized. Yeah.
That's right-sized for them.
Right.
So we're not here to judge anything. We're here to basically point out what we've done, and what are some of those things that we've done that you think made the most impact on our life that helped us.
I think a first step for us was really looking at, it was back when the mortgage crisis was happening in 2008, and we decided that we were living in a very, very nice house we had lots of benefits and amenities in that house, but most of them we weren't really even using. And although we weren't financially stressed in that house, we realized we had a decent sized mortgage and we were paying for stuff that we weren't using, and we thought, maybe we should.
And so if you're really honest, and we started just jotting it down on a piece of paper, and actually the benefits, like a T-scale. And one of the things that we looked at is we go, we don't use a swimming pool as much because we don't have grandkids, we don't have kids, and we don't have people that much. We loved our swimming pool. But when we looked at it, it was $300 a month. Now when you do that times 12, that's $3,600 a month. And what did you point out? You started looking at all these other
$3,600 a year.
I mean a year.
Yes. Well, and I think the idea was we were traveling in the summertime when we would normally use our swimming pool. I would far rather travel. I'm a traveler at heart. So to me it was like, oh, let's see, have that pool or go traveling. It was a conscious choice to say, let's let go of that pool and then I can travel more and I can do the things that I really want. And that's such a key to right-sizing. It's picking and choosing. It's like realizing that everything you buy is a choice for things that you can't buy or you won't buy. So it's like, make sure what you buy, what you own, what you have, what you do is something you really, really want.
Exactly.
And that's right-sizing to me.
And then going back to the house, we had probably well over a third we didn't use in the house. So we had a larger house. So we thought, well, what if we went to a smaller house, got rid of the swimming pool, and then you take that mortgage that's here and you can drop that mortgage in half or more, and you take all that money, which is thousands of dollars a year. When it worked out for us, it was pretty extreme. When we took our lifestyle and changed, we saved tens of thousands of dollars a year by just changing. And we didn't think actually looked at it. We didn't sacrifice anything. So what can we do with that extra money? We invested it, we saved it, and we put it back into things that were really important, like,
Like travel. Like
And
travel.
like in Idlewild, we're coming up here and we can afford a little place to hang. We don't want to own the house up here because second homes, that's another story. But we found that we can just come up here, use it for a month, give the keys back, and it's paid for. That time has been paid for.
Well, and I think that addresses why it's so important now than ever before. Because let's face it, there's so much uncertainty in the world. The normal that we used to know is not going to probably be, I don't know that it'll ever come back to that. I think there's not just going to be social distancing, but there's also going to be a lot of stress on the economy. There's already news that we are in a recession, and that, so the economy is dealing with things. We're dealing with our health, the health crisis. It's going to continue for a while, folks, as much as we don't want it
Well,
to.
and think of it, I remember watching Susie Orman, and she's saying you need to have, 3 to 6 months of reserves set aside. Well, we found out the businesses, they don't have anything set aside practically. They collapse after a month practically. The airlines, they're getting government bailouts. We were fortunate enough because we easily prepared for this by right-sizing. It was like a byproduct of right-sizing that we had the extra savings to set aside. So when this hit us, it didn't affect us really at all. Now, you might not be in the same position, but think about it for the future. What can you let go of, not give up, but let go of to give yourself more freedom and peace of mind? And I think when you have the peace of mind that goes along with right-sizing, man, the stress levels go down. So it's just,
definitely.
that's the biggest reason.
I do think there's a lot to be said for living with below your means, though. I think it's become so unconscious that so many of us spend more than we really ought to on things to kind of entertain ourselves or amuse ourselves or keep ourselves from being bored. And the truth of the matter is it adds stress to our lives in so many little subtle ways. And when you eliminate that, when you kind of just say, no, I'm not going to spend money I don't have, and it gives you such a peace of mind and freedom to then start looking for ways to enjoy yourself without spending money. And let's face it, there are ways to enjoy yourself without spending money.
What's one of your favorite phrases?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yeah, exactly.
We've talked a lot of friends into that. They're going to go buy that second home or buy that motorhome or buy that RV. And I go, you going to pay cash? Well, no. And I go, well, think of the consequences of that, how that's going to look down the line. Well, things are changing.
Well, and right now even, we have friends who said, oh yeah, I'm thinking about an RV now, I'm thinking about a new car, I'm thinking about, like, that stimulus check is burning holes in their pocket.
And it's not very much.
And it's like, it's not very much. And if you're close to the wire financially, believe me, you don't want to be spending it on things that don't, Rightsizing asks me on a regular basis, let's look at what I really need and or really want before I spend the money.
Now, we've talked about buying an RV and a trailer numerous times. And every time we do, we actually pencil out how many times we're going to use it, what do we do with it, we don't have a place to store it, and then when I look at the financial numbers, I mean, you can rent an Airbnb from not buying that silly RV. To me, it's silly in the sense, because I would really like some of those RVs. But when I looked at it, I go, wow, I can rent an Airbnb for 3 months a year for the next 10 years for what that RV is going to cost me.
But that's actually another really good example, because when we looked at RVs, there's part of it that's kind of romantic, sitting around the fireplace with your friends outside. Of course, social distancing in mind nowadays. But honestly, Tom and I this is nature to us.
This is RV.
This is RV. I like to have certain amenities when I camp. And you can't get it necessarily with an RV.
But if you have...
So right-sizing asks you to make sure,
it fits your life.
Yeah, does it fit you? Are you really that kind of a person instead of being romanced? It's like people who go out and buy things like timeshares. Most of the time they were sold on the romance of a vacation instead of the financial reality of the choices they are making. And right-sizing says, no, I think we have to make those conscious choices every single day.
RVs aren't bad. Second homes aren't bad. The thing is, are you living, like Kathy says, within your means? We like to live below our means a little bit because it gives us, again, back to freedom and peace of mind.
Right. There was so much we could be saying about Rightsizing. We could probably talk for several hours of it. And shoot, if you know us, you know we can. But I think we've covered probably most of the basics today. Is there anything else you can think of that we haven't said?
You might look at Kathy's book called Rightsizing,
Oh yeah, I did write a book about Rightsizing.
and it's pretty good. And we've had people feedback and comments say, hey, thank you for those tips. If you just got one idea of it, it could change a lot of things in your life.
One last thing, I think it's really critical. We have friends who are probably better right-sizers than we are. And hanging around with other people who also feel like it's an important thing is really important. If you're hanging around with people who like to hang out with try to keep up with the Joneses, guess what? You're going to do it too. So part of right-sizing, I think, actually is right-sizing the friends that you hang out with. They do influence. People influence us. So hang out around with the kind of people that you want to live like. I think that's a really critical thing.
Okay?
Is there anything else? No? Well, thank you again for joining us. We welcome your feedback, and we hope to see you again in our next vlog.